President-elect Trump did what he does best, creating a whirlwind during his visit to DC. He announced more big appointments and blew up several norms along the way. Aside from Matt Gaetz, the other nominee that has political tongues wagging is former Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who Trump picked to be the next Director of National Intelligence. For context, the DNI was created after 9/11 to fix the lack of coordination among different branches of the government that dealt with intel.
Republicans are extremely happy about the pick. Former UFC fighter Gina Carano took to X, posting, quote, "This is beyond amazing. Congratulations to this incredible woman, a true, strong leader with an incredible heart for the people. Tulsi Gabbard for the win. Well done, Donald Trump. Thank you." And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. also praised this choice, writing, quote, "The perfect place for a courageous warrior of democracy and freedom. Congratulations, Tulsi Gabbard." Of course, critics weighed in as well. Joe Walsh wrote, "When you voted for Trump, you voted to put Tulsi Gabbard, a Russian asset, in charge of our nation's intelligence. That's what you voted for. Congratulations." And senior fellow at Media Matters for America, Matt Gertz, who's often confused for Matt Gaetz, even though they're totally different people, said Matt Gaetz' pick is so crazy, people have forgotten the Tulsi Gabbard pick, which was so crazy, people have forgotten about the Pete Hegseth pick. Who knows what tomorrow will bring? More tears from Matt Gertz is what tomorrow will bring. Tulsi Gabbard. This is someone who started her political career as a very progressive Democrat, a supporter of Bernie Sanders, ran for president as a Democrat on a economically populist platform and a non-interventionist or non-regime change kind of foreign policy, clashed significantly with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden on the debate stage, was perceived as having, I think, scored points on Kamala in a debate, has become subsequently disenchanted with the Democratic Party, formally left them, formally joined the Republican Party, has been in Trump's orbit now on the campaign, is also close with RFK Jr., and is now going to be the Director of National Intelligence.
Yes, and cue the outrage from many, many quarters, as well as the praise for some quarters that you've just noted there. So, look, I mean, a lot of the attention that Tulsi Gabbard gets is for her views on foreign policy, war, American interventionism, and all of that. And while I think that some of that criticism is unfair, I think some of it is also valid. So to take just briefly an unfair thing, there was a column written in the Washington Examiner, and it said something to the effect that Xi Jinping would be delighted if Tulsi Gabbard were confirmed. Now, the evidence or the supporting case for that was that Tulsi Gabbard didn't want there to be a trade war with China. That is a very mainstream belief, and if we're accusing anybody who believes that of being a sort of Chinese fellow traveler, that would be like
100%.
A massive number of people. Where I think it gets more questionable with Gabbard is in relation to Russia, and especially even more so in relation to Syria, where she does have this very peculiar record of almost de facto pro-Bashar Assad positions or arguments in Syria, basically saying the US should stay out of it, it's up to the Syrian people, saying that, or portraying everyone who is against Assad as a kind of Islamist or Al-Qaeda or ISIS, which is just factually wrong and seems like at one point she said, for example, that Putin, because of his backing for Assad, was willing to bomb Al-Qaeda in a way that Americans were not. So, like, that's not a non-interventionist position. That's a pro-Russian intervention, anti-American intervention position, which is, I think, rightly suspicion arousing.
Well, but I don't think it makes her a Russian asset. I mean, I think there's no way she's actually a Russian asset, and that kind of commentary is disturbing. I am under no illusions about Bashar al-Assad as being a butcher, a horrific dictator who has gassed his own people. I absolutely believe what he has done to his own people is bad and wrong. At the same time, I do not think the U.S. should intervene. I think we have learned this lesson enough times from Iraq, from Libya, that we take out the bad guys, we end up with worse guys. It doesn't improve the situation in the Middle East. And it is, I mean, I would agree with her that it's ultimately the Syrian people's problem. I do not think we should get involved. That's not to make, and sometimes, I agree with you that sometimes people speaking out against intervention. There's speaking out against intervention, and then there's having undue sympathy or minimizing of the bad behavior of the Putin or the Assad or the Xi Jinping, which I never want to do because those people are authoritarians in different ways, engaged in murder or political subterfuge, bad. And I really dislike the trend in some non-interventionists to say everything the U.S. does is bad, everyone else is good. That's
anti-Americanism, basically.
Yeah,
right?
it's very silly.
Yeah.
What is good is to acknowledge the faults and flaws of America's approach, its foreign policy, and the flaws of other countries. But I do, at the end of the day, I would rather have a director of national intelligence who is skeptical about increased involvement in this part of the world and the China trade war stuff.
So the thing that I have some difficulty discussing Gabbard, because I think some of her points are valid points for discussion. It's that when you look at the whole, it seems to look just a little bit more suspect in terms of the consistent attempt to give a generous interpretation to Putin's actions. So, for example, in relation to Ukraine, she has talked about the fact that there is a real problem, or one of the reasons for that war is NATO expansionism, essentially, and not ruling out Ukraine becoming a member of NATO. That is not untrue. I think that is a part of the picture there. The problem is that she does not seem to so much acknowledge the fact that Vladimir Putin's belief that Ukraine isn't really a proper country and should be part of Russia is also a major part of that picture. And she tends, I think, to really be enormously generous in her interpretation of Russian actions while being in some ways justifiably critical of American actions.
Yeah, I don't know specifically what she's said about the conflict. To the extent that she wants to bring it to an end, I agree with that. I think the U.S. should try to play a peacemaker role here. And I think even if that results in Ukraine losing some territory, it is worth doing that. I think the idea that they're going to hold on to the entire country is not realistic. And to prevent the fall of the entire country, there's going to need some cessation of the parts of of Ukraine that are Russian-speaking and culturally Russian-affiliated, and are. I mean, in an ideal world, they would vote on whether to be part of Ukraine or part of Russia or part of their own country, and that would be good. I don't think the endless supply of weapons and money and support to Ukraine is, I think, just naive given their likelihood of expelling Russia. They may put up a good resistance, but a lot of people are dying. Their forces are diminished. They've had to do conscriptions of people outside the normal military age. Long term, we need, before the entire country collapses, we need to move toward ending it. But I do agree with you, and I don't know if this is, maybe it's true of Tulsi. I don't know whether it's true of her in particular. I've certainly had these arguments with people on the left, for that everything that happens is Russia or China, they're innocent babies and they're just reacting to what the U.S. does. We're the prime mover and aggressor. I'm like, well, we're only doing the things we do because of these. You can go back and forth. This is true of Israel, Palestine. Well, Israel did a lot of bad things, but that was in response to bad things the Palestinians did, which were responsive. You can go back thousands of years and do this blame game, and it's not helpful. And I just want the conflict and the violence to end. Yeah. But I should also disclose for people watching. I know Tulsi a little bit better than your average member of Congress. I've met her at events. I've talked to her for a long period of time, so I'm friendly with her. So I might be more positively disposed to her than I ought to be for that reason. So
you can bring her on.
Putting that disclosure out there.
Bring her on, and we'll have a discussion about whether she is in fact too close to Mr. Putin or not.
Indeed, we would love to have her on, and we would love to continue talking about all of these exciting Trump picks. Are you entertained yet? I know I am. More Rising coming up next.